The day was supposed to be perfect. A beautiful venue, a dress I'd dreamed about since I was a little girl, and the man I thought was my forever waiting at the altar. But instead of saying, "I do," I delivered a speech that would change everything. It started a month before the wedding. Jason, my fiancé, had been distant, not in an obvious way, but I could feel it. He was spending more time on his phone and making excuses to avoid wedding planning. "Work is crazy," he'd say, brushing off my concerns. Then there was Michelle, my maid of honor and best friend since college. She'd been oddly quiet lately, not her usual bubbly self. I assumed it was wedding stress. Little did I know, the truth was far worse. The first clue came when I borrowed Jason's laptop to look up a song we wanted to play at the reception. When I opened the browser, his email was already logged in. A new message caught my eye. It was from Michelle. The subject line read, "Last night was amazing." My stomach dropped. I clicked on the email, and there it was, a trail of messages between them. They weren't just having an affair, they were deeply involved. Their messages talked about sneaking around, the thrill of it, and even doubts about the wedding. I sat there in shock, tears streaming down my face. My two favorite people in the world had betrayed me. I didn't confront Jason or Michelle right away. Instead, I started gathering evidence. I screenshotted every message, every incriminating detail. I even recorded a phone conversation between Michelle and Jason when she called him, thinking I wasn't around. A part of me wanted to call off the wedding quietly, to avoid the embarrassment. But another part of me, the part that couldn't let them get away with this, decided they deserved to be exposed. The day of the wedding arrived. I acted like nothing was wrong, smiling for photos and chatting with guests. Jason seemed nervous, but I pretended not to notice. Michelle was her usual radiant self, playing the supportive maid of honor. When it came time for the vows, I stood at the altar and looked Jason in the eyes. I could feel the weight of the betrayal, but I stayed calm. "Before I begin my vows," I said, my voice steady, "I have something to share with all of you." The room fell silent. I pulled out my phone and began reading the emails and messages between Jason and Michelle. Gasps filled the room, and Michelle turned pale. Jason tried to grab my arm, but I stepped back. "This is the man I was about to marry," I said, "and this is the woman I called my best friend." The guests were in shock. Some started murmuring, while others stared at Jason and Michelle with disgust. My parents were crying, and Jason's mother looked like she wanted to disappear. I turned to Jason one last time. "You don't deserve me. And Michelle, you're no friend of mine. This wedding is over." I walked out of the venue with my head held high. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but also the most empowering. In the weeks that followed, Jason and Michelle tried to reach out. Jason claimed it was a mistake, that he was just scared of commitment. Michelle said she was sorry and hoped we could move past it. I blocked them both. Now, 2 years later, I'm in a healthy, loving relationship with someone who values honesty and respect. Exposing them was the best decision I ever made. It taught me my worth and showed me the strength I didn't know I had.